I've cracked the code of what's holding back high achievers. And it's not talent, it's not ability, it's not even skill. Because let's be honest, if you're already at the top of your field, you've got plenty of all three. What separates the winners from the ones who quietly burn out isn't talent at all. It's the same thing that allowed me to write a book in just over a month and then turn around and create a brand new show for international audiences. See, at some point, every high achiever runs into the same wall. The sheer volume of tasks, the jungle of to-do lists, the emails, the meetings, the projects, and the answer isn't another color-coded app to help you juggle it all. When I started helping people train mental strength in my Dream Gym system, they loved the idea. But almost every single one said the same thing. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I can't prioritize what I know is good for me, because all these people were super high achievers. And you see it everywhere. People neglect their health. They don't learn the language they said they would. They stop reading. They disappear under the weight of their own busyness. And these aren't lazy people. They're leaders, they're business owners, they're performers, they're creators, they're people who should be winning, but they keep struggling against this invisible barrier. So how do we overcome this? That's what we're going to unpack in this video. And before I show you the rest of the system to make you mentally strong, we've got to start here with one unbelievably simple principle, the same one that every elite performer secretly relies on. Today I'm going to show you the hidden power of routines. And in case we haven't met before, I'm Selinger. From creatives to executives, I help high achievers build the routines that guarantee wins. I take all the neuroscience, all the performance theory, and break it down into simple, practical actions you can actually use without going through all the material. Because let's be honest, you don't have hours to sit around geeking out on research papers. If you do, fantastic. But if you don't, this is where I come in. Here's my promise. If you listen to me, I'll give you your life back. More energy, more time to actually live the life you've been working so hard to build. Think of your life as a computer. Every day you're running programs, work, family, health, creativity. Inside each, there are subroutines, like the morning program. You wake, bathroom, coffee, check phone, maybe journal or train or pray. You've got a work subroutine. You do some deep work, get some meetings, you inbox, you Slack. And who put a 30-minute call in my only focus block? Then your evening routine, you commute, dinner, maybe kids. Then you accidentally binge 3 episodes. Here's the problem. Most of us have too many programs open at once. You're trying to render a movie, run 12 Chrome tabs, stream 4K, and edit photos on a laptop that hasn't been updated since 2019. Now what happens? Performance tanks, lag, spinning beach ball. Eventually, crash. Does that feel like life? You're talented, you're capable, but the system is choking, not because you're lazy, but because you've got 100 subroutines fighting for the same processor, your attention. You already have routines, they're just default ones, like doom scrolling, reactive inboxing, calendar Tetris. If you don't design the system designs you. Now here's how champions avoid the crash. Olympians don't just run a bunch of random programs all day. They have what I call a core routine, a top-level routine that sits above everything else. That core routine makes decisions for them. It removes the guesswork. They don't wake up asking, should I train today? The core routine already answered that question weeks ago. And that's the real magic here. When you have a core routine, you gain freedom because you always know what's next. It's not scheduling. Anybody can make a schedule, and most of us ignore it by Wednesday. This isn't about color coding your calendar. This is about the logic that governs your actions. It decides what deserves your focus and what doesn't. Your core routine is already running, whether you know it or not. For some people, it's check email first thing in the morning. For others, it's doom scroll until your thumb cramps. If you don't design your core routine, the default one designs you. Now let's look at what this looks like in real life. Take Olympic gold medalist swimmer Daniel Wiffen. His day starts at 5:45 in the morning with a 2-hour pool session. Then it's an hour in the gym. After that, a nap, because recovery is as important as training. Later, he's back in the pool for another 2-hour swim. Now notice what's happening here. Every single part of that day is serving 1 or 2 main accomplishments. Train the body to perform at the highest level and recovery enough to do it again tomorrow. That's it. That's his core routine. And because it's a routine, not just a random set of actions, Everything flows into the next. Wake up, train, lift, recover, repeat. It's a closed loop designed for one outcome: winning. Of course, other things come up. Maybe he has to renew his driver's license or run errands, but those tasks are subject to the core routine, not the other way around. The core routine decides what gets done and when. That's why Olympic athletes don't waste energy wondering what's next. The core routine already answered the question, which means when the moment comes to perform, their body and mind are already primed, not drained by decision fatigue. So here's the question. Do you want to be a champion? Maybe not in swimming, but in your business, your art, your leadership, your creativity, your life. Because if you do, you can't just wing it. You need a core routine. Without it, you'll always feel like you're reacting, pulled in 100 directions, burning energy on decisions that don't move you forward. With a core routine, you gain freedom. Not the fake freedom of a color-coded calendar you'll abandon by Wednesday, but real freedom. The kind that comes from knowing what exactly matters and what comes next. That's why Olympians don't guess. They don't improvise. And if you want to live at your highest level, you can't either. So here's the challenge. If you want to be a champion in your world, you have to start paying attention to your core routine. Because whether you've built one intentionally or not, it's running your life. Now, in a minute, I'm going to give you the very first step to building your core routine. But before we go there, let's just be honest about where most of us are at right now. Think about your computer's home screen. Icons everywhere, notifications popping up, half a dozen apps running in the background. You notice the task manager and it's chaos. Memories maxed out. The whole system is about to freeze. That's what life feels like for so many high achievers. Not because you don't want to win, not because you're lazy, because too much is running at once. And when that happens, you start to cope. You scroll. Then you binge Netflix. You avoid the things that actually matter, not because you don't care, but because your system is overloaded. That's the brutal reality. Most people aren't failing because they don't want it. They're failing because they're running low on memory, with too many programs open at once. And if you notice yourself in that picture, you're not alone. Here's the good news. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're a champion in waiting. And the first step to building your core routine is simple. Decide what you really want. Champions don't train for everything. They train for the podium. They aim at the medal. So what's your podium? Maybe it's building a business that thrives. Maybe it's leading a team that wins. Maybe it's writing a book you've been talking about for 5 years. Whatever it is, your core routine has to serve that. Because once you know what you're aiming for, like exactly, the rest becomes a lot easier. You don't waste energy wondering what matters. Your core routine answers the question for you. It answers what you are going to prioritize and what you're going to say no to. And here's the funny part. Most of us are already in training. We're just training for the wrong event. Doom scrolling at midnight, that's training. Netflix binging, training. It's just training you to be world-class in avoidance. But you're done with that. You're stepping into a new track. You're going to build the core routine that puts you on the podium. And trust me, when we're done, you're going to feel different. You're going to have more energy, more clarity, more wins. That's what champions do. So here's where we're headed. Over the next coming months, we're going to solve this routine problem together. Because I've discovered this reality is the biggest problem high achievers face. Honestly, if you solve this issue, the rest will take care of itself. Because once you have a core routine, you finally have the hierarchy for your day. You know what matters. You know what's next. And you stop wasting energy on the things that don't move you forward. I can't tell you how excited I am about this because I know this is going to make such a massive difference in your life. Why? Because it made all the difference in mine. Everything I've achieved, writing books, creating shows, performing on the world stage, all of it came down to routines. And yes, I've had to relearn these lessons more times than once, but that's exactly why I'm doing this now. Because the truth is, the people who stand on the podium of life, they get there because they've mastered this. And so can you. So stick with me on this channel, and together we're going to build the routines that guarantee your wins.